And for those who are hesitating to join the struggle, they need to know that the rise of Africa is irreversible. The rise of our party is irreversible. The rise of African internationalism is irreversible. The rise of African women working class is irreversible. I want people to understand that. That's why you should join. I know a lot of people like to join the winning team. We are the winning team, irreversible winning team. I want people to understand that. And my last point is just this. What is all these things we have watched, we have listened to, what does that mean for us? It means that we have to become better organizers. We have to become better in explaining everything. We have to deepen everything we're doing, political education, get deepen organizational work, get deepen outreach work, get deepen everything you're supposed to do, get it deeper. That's how we're gonna win. Because imperialism cannot survive the onslaught from connected on a global level of organized African working class. That's basically where we are. So when you hear us talking about overturning the verdict of imperialism, that's basically what you're looking at. So once more, join us. So I'll stop here. Praise Mr. Samir. So I appreciate this question definitely. You help us to go where we want to go.
Uhuru, so we got a couple minutes left. So that's before we move towards some of these questions from the audience, Representative Kalambai, Director Tafari, anything y'all want to speak on? Because specifically, Representative Kalambai, you're in St. Louis, where we're in the process of building the Uhuru Wakalia Women's Health Center, where on the day of the attack, the state knew that we were holding our African doula program training. We talked about this idea of motherhood and family and the ability to produce life for ourselves being stripped from ourselves, and that being the theme in the film. And S.G. Lowazy right now noting that, what you see here about us, this is not a movie. It's not a movie that every single year so many African babies die in St. Louis that they could fill 15 classrooms. So many African babies die in St. Louis every single year that it could fill 15 kindergarten classrooms. So, and we, through the Science of African Internationalism, has organized this significant pushback against that. And this is why we were attacked. This is this work, the work of Project Tutukani, the Better Life Association, the Comrades on the Ground in South Africa. This is why we have come attacked, and all around the world. So yeah, what y'all say?
Uhuru, I just really want to unite with everything Secretary Lowazy just adequately laid out, the importance of organization and why this discussion is so on time, and the work that EPDUM does is timeless and very important to have these discussions. And like you said, just a real, can I plug everybody? At 3:00 Central Time, right here on the grounds in St. Louis, we have town hall meetings. So you can catch us on the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement page, and it's 3:00 Central, where we will be deepening this conversation. But right here in St. Louis, everything that we're saying about chairman, and even when we say 50 years, we have to go back 10 more years. And majority of his life has been dedicated to fighting for the independence and the liberation of African people. And the day that we, on July 29th, we were mobilizing 15 women to go through a process to become full service doulas, which is critical. Myself and as Monsamela was talking about, the African babies that fill the room. But as an African woman that was pregnant right here in St. Louis and had a premature baby, and know, like, when you are pregnant, it's the most scariest thing in the world when you're an African woman, because we have to go to clinics where every single time I went to my doctor, I seen somebody different that did not, that did not know what was going on with me. So every single time I have to go over my documents and my hospital things over and over again. And so it's not a thing where African women have the same luxuries that white women have. And so the question of just bringing forth life is a real critical one, that not only in St. Louis, but this is the truth in South Africa, Sierra Leone, everywhere African people are, our stories sound very similar. You would hear a story of an African woman in St. Louis and think she was talking, you think you were talking about Africa, that what the conditions that she been placed under and what she had to go through just having a child seems very the conditions of what Africans on the continent are going through. So, through this whole conversation, one of the things that we believe in the Uhuru movement that I keep hearing, Masamela, is the as Comrade Secretary Luwezi said, we have to become better organizers, because we have to build. We need contending and dual power. Every institution that they have, we have to build a contending institution to contend with that. And I'm not talking about EBT lines. That means that you and me have to be better organizers, come into political life, and be in these institutions to be able to have a service for our people. You have to join for that to happen. Like, that's what we have to do. We have to put bodies into these institutions, and then we have to be trained on what it means to have self-determination. We're not waiting to build a new world. We are constructing it right now in the Uhuru movement. And so everything in this program is talking about, when we say, I heard one of my comrades say we have to have more movies that we write. When we talk about the culture revolution, this is another contending. We have to contend with everything the ruling class is trying to use to keep the, what did my comrade teach me today? The superstructure have to be, it got to be hit. And by the contending and dual power, I'm sorry, babies. So I'm going to just end it right there and just say that I really appreciate this discussion, and I apologize, Uhuru.
Uhuru. So what I do is I just run through a couple of these questions and then open it up for discussion for the last 10 minutes or so before we end. So we're going to have a hard stop at the top of the hour. Comrade Jamila asked a question. In the movie, the women soldiers were isolated from the men for their entire life. They cannot marry or have children. Is this historically true? And so historical records do state that the women were the African women soldiers were not permitted to marry. However, upon the end of their service, some of them did eventually marry dignitaries, of other kingdoms and things like that. That's what the historians suggest, that some are eventually married off to other leaders, and that in itself, does, Western society really was incestual, right? This idea we gotta, keep the bloodline, and that produced all the problems that the royal family has, including their bad teeth, to be honest. But Africans understood that from the family is the basis of the community, and so from there we see unity being waged through different families and different communities coming together. So that is what actually happened. There's a question of a special oppression to African women. Comrade Kumba asked that. So maybe somebody can speak to what is the special oppression of African women. And then Comrade Marissa asked, two white women wrote the story. So I think the screenplay is written by some white women. The film is directed by an African woman, the same woman who did Love and Basketball. Um, and can the panelists speak on why members of the colonizing nations writing a story on African people, what are they trying to accomplish? And the truth is that feminism and feminists historically have not been able to accomplish their own political goals, their bourgeois political goals, by relying simply on white women. So without a doubt, their goal is to try to fold stories of African women into just some stories about women in general. I think that that is apparent in some of the comments that we've heard in this panel, and I think that's an excellent question. And the last comment that I want to bring to the forefront by Comrade Diop, he says, Uhuru, it seems that the imperialists point to examples of Africans participating in our own oppression as a means of disguising its primary role in our oppression. Of course, right? Exactly. Like Chairman says, you don't blame the wolf, you blame the hunter, the person who put that blade in our community in the first place. After all, the power held by the petty bourgeoisie is nominal and would not exist without the structures of the imperialist state. And that's exactly what, and you actually do see a comment on that in the film, in which Gezo admits that, his power is that's the source of his power. And that's even what one of the colonizers says, without us, without the slave trade, you be a king, but you be a king of mud, he told her, and stuff like that. So I find that to be a great comment. So we got a little bit of time left. Comrade Tafari, I know we haven't heard as much from you recently. Is there anything else you would like to add, as well as Direct SG Loazy?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
You go. I'll come after.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be brief, SG Loazy. I just wanted to say that in the past, not like since the advent of colonialism, there have been this need to paint a narrative. They have to explain it all the time. You can't just colonize people without like creating poems about it, like the white man's burden and all these things. It has to be there all the time, in order for, because there's also an ideological warfare in this whole thing. And I recognize this movie as progress. There is progress, as far as in the past, the movies they used to make about Africa is Tanzania, like this white man going into the jungle in Africa, but now they are forced to make this movie. But this progress is not because of some type of awakening from the colonizers, but it's because of the resistance, the rising consciousness of the African masses. So it's an indication of the fact that African people are waking up. African people who do have the desire, to be self, like self-determining, to be respected like a human being. That's the thing that we see in Africans. So to me, it tells me that African people do want freedom. You just have to do the work and get out, like show people that the like, for example, talking about this 29 July attack on our movement, it was the colonial state that did that. A lot of people don't understand what the state is. So our responsibility as revolutionaries is to go to the people and teach them that this is the state and this is how the colonial state was born. And African people cannot be free unless the colonial state has been destroyed. So that's the responsibility of them, of the revolutionaries. Uhuru.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, I just want to come back on a couple of points, starting with the question of special question of African women. First of all, the historically the African woman was recognized as a ruler in society. These might not be always the same throughout Africa, but generally speaking, the woman could be a ruler in society, a producer in society, and so on. But what colonialism has done, not only they attacked Africa and oppressed men and women as well. But what they have done, they have stripped off African women of all the basic rights they enjoyed before colonialism. For example, the question of childcare, where the African women used to have a collective leadership. It wasn't just you who was in charge, you individual, of charge of upbringing, raising your child. It was the whole village, the whole community. It was shared. But now with colonialism, the breakdown of the African families everywhere, it's just you, maybe a single mother or just one individual mother going to work and also dealing with all the domestic works on your own, which is extra burden on African women, which basically just destroy the minimum quality of life you aspire to have. The encouragement of violence against African women, in all levels. That's what the bourgeoisie has done. So not only African women are oppressed as a part of African nation, oppressed as workers, but as women, they are the one who bear the brunt of colonial assault on an African nation. You go to displaced camps, as I said before, you see the images of war in the Congo, you will see African women are specifically targeted, not only for killing for any in 1,000 ways, but destruction of women genitals and things like that. This is the violence basically colonialism has unleashed against the African women. In terms of education, in the same way, they are the least who receive education for equal work, less pay, and things like that. Things that that didn't exist before. So the assault on our African women is definitely real, and they bear the brunt of concentration of colonial attacks on our people. So the question of it's true, this Hollywood is a concession, but particularly to the African petit bourgeoisie, because it facilitates the conclusion, the kind of we doing it to each other, when you see violence between two groups. So it doesn't help the people to deepen the analysis, to see the responsibility of the African petit bourgeoisie in the violence is happening all over African Black community, because African petit bourgeoisie betrayed the Black Revolution. That's why you see violence on the street of Saint Louis, or you see violence in the Congo, because the African petit bourgeoisie has sided, has joined the bourgeoisie in colonial attacks on our people. Basically, colonialism is good for African petit bourgeoisie success. They need colonialism. And the question of history is critical. We, the African working class, we want to control our future, we want to control our present, and we will control our past. All our past, we want to control our history, not just 1823. We want to control our history. And that's why it's critical that not only we see what happened in Africa, but also the whole world need to see, and Africans in Africa in particular need to see what happens in the United States, in the Caribbean, in South America, what happened to Africans there for 100 years. This has to be also a question of urgency, that Africans on the continent, they really identify for every single struggle, every single aspect of life Africans have endured outside Africa. This, in most of the time, is absent. And I think this is something, criticism of this movie should basically facilitate Africans, on the continent need to be part of that. And that consciousness has to become part also of the consciousness of people on the continent. And the last thing, basically, I think is just the question of power. I think I might have said that before. It's really a question of power. We cannot do anything with basically the critical question. We want power in our own hands. We want Black power. is a solution to all criticism we can make for anything under colonialism as a mode of production. We need power. Power is a solution. And that power, you can't get it. Nobody's going to give it to you. Nobody's going to give it to us. We have to snatch it. We have to get it. And you can't get it without revolution. And without party, without the African People's Party, you cannot make that revolution. So you need a party. You need to join. You need to join. And that's basically, what I can say in conclusion. We want you to join so we can have power. And then we can even have a better discussion because we will be armed with power. And that changes everything. As you know, power changes everything. So let's get organized. Well, I appreciate being a guest in this program. I just want to thank you, President Masmera, and salute all my panelists, all the co-panelists.
So we are up to $80, so we are only $20 away from reaching our $100 donation goal today. I know that we can do it. Who out there has $20? Drop that in the chat and let us know. In the meantime, I would like to call on you all to go to tinyurl.com/GOTB contacts. tinyurl.com/GOTB contacts. The International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement is participating in the Black People's March on the White House. We're participating in the Black is Back Coalition's Black People's March on the White House in Washington, D.C. from November 5th through 6th. We're organizing alongside the African People's Socialist Party with the Get on the Bus campaign, getting comrades from as far as California, throughout the Midwest, throughout the northern region, throughout the southern region of the United States to the Black People's March on the White House. If you want to be a part of our organizing team, if you are interested in donating, if you're interested in getting on the bus with us, go to tinyurl.com/GOTB contacts and give us your information. Let us know the capacity through which you can help us organize. tinyurl.com/GOTB contacts. As well, you can go to blackisbackcoalition.org and register for the Black People's March on the White House and the subsequent conference on November 6th. So go and register for the event at blackisbackcoalition.org, but also drop us your contact so you can be a part of our Get on the Bus efforts. So let's see if we got a last 20. We still got some time. What I'll do to take us over, I'll donate $20. So that $20 takes us towards our limit today, which was a $100 donation goal. So thank you everybody for participation in this. Hopefully this shows the universality of African internationalism, a theory of practice, the theory of the African working class.